يا مرحبا مرحبا يا جمع من ضالي عداد ما لاح برد صيف فينا حياكم الله في مقدمكم ومصالي ونحن نرحب ونعرف سلمنا ما هو.
الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه ما يحب ربنا ويرضاه، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا وحبيبنا سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا. أما بعد، فيقول الشيخ العلامة الشيخ عبد-الرزاق بن عبد المحسن البدر حفظهم الله في كتابه أو رسالته 10 قواعد في تزكية النفس. القاعدة الخامسة: التزكية تخلية وتحلية. So we continue with the reading from the treatise by Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq حفظه entitled 10 Principles Regarding the Purification of the Self. And we are on now the principle on the fifth principle, principle number 5. And he says, At-Tazkiyatu Takhliyatun wa Tahliya. Tazkiyah comprises of 2 parts. Takhliya, which is, we will translate for now, an emptying, and a tahliya, which is an adorning. 2-tier process. So it has two parts to it. First, it is the emptying of the self, and then it is the adorning of the self. So he uses the words here, and it's used by our Salaf, takhliya and tahliya. So you look at the word takhliya from the word khalla, yukhalli takhliyatan. And the word has many meanings. Khalla, yukhalli to mean, for example, to let something loose, atlaqaha wa tarakaha, to let something open or free, or to leave something, right? And also takhliya also means to afraghaha wa afraghahu, to empty something out of, if it's filled with something and you empty it, that's called takhliya as well. And the word has many meanings, walillah alhamd. Then we look at the word tahliya, which comes from the word halla, yuhalli tahliyatan. And from the meanings of the word, halla, yuhalli is to beautify something. So the Arabs say halla al-bayt, meaning zayyanahu, meaning he beautified the home. Halla al-bayt ay zayyanahu, he beautified the home. It's where we get the word huli from, which is the necklace that the women wear, or the beautifications that the women wear, like from jewelry. It's called huli. Ha, yeah, lam, yeah. It's a alif maksura, and then when it becomes mudari', it becomes a ya. Halla yuhalli tahliyatan, right? And then for example, if I say halla al-jariya or halla zawjatahu, meaning he made her wear jewelry to beautify herself, right? And they also say, for example, the Arabs say halla ma al-bahri bimana adzabahu. So he made tahliya of ocean water. أي أزال ملوحته وجعله صالحا للشرب والاستعمال. Right? So it means to remove the bitterness and the saltiness of the water to make it fresh and able to be consumed by human beings and to benefit from it and to use it. So these are the words halla, to So so that's the meaning. So to adorn yourself with something, right? So the idea here is that you empty yourself of everything other than Allah Azza wa Jal. Everything other than Allah Azza wa Jal, you empty yourself of it. Your love that's not for the sake of Allah. Your hatred that's not for the sake of Allah. Your attachment that is not through Allah. Attachment to haram, which is from the Hikmah Allah, from the boundaries of Allah Azza wa Jal. You remove those things from your life, right? And then once you're empty of those things, you adorn yourselves with the attributes that Allah Azza wa Jal has praised in the Quran, right? You adorn yourself first of all with the iman and tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, and His names and His attributes. Whatever from His names and attributes you can exemplify, like rahmah, right? And maghfirah, and mahabba, and all these types of things, and mawadda, and unconditional love. You adorn yourselves with these attributes and these names of Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is the general meaning of purification of the self. It takes those two processes. And some of the ulama, some of the salaf, they trace this back to the very instance of revelation coming to the Prophet ﷺ in the Ghar Hira, in the mountain, when he was to make i'tizal or seclusion from the people. When Jibreel alayhi salam came to him and he said to him, Iqra, read. He said, وَمَا أَنَا بِقَارِئ. So what did Jibreel do? Say, okay, no problem, go away? No, he grabbed him, alayhi salam, and he squeezed him. حَتَّى بَلَغَ مِنْهُ شُدَّهُ أو حَتَّى بَلَغَ مِنِّي شُدَّهُ أو كما قال عليه السلام. He said that the angel, he didn't know who it was. He said, it grabbed me and it squeezed me until I reached to a point where I couldn't take it anymore. Right? And then he let me go. And that happened 3 times. Right? He was asked to read. Our Prophet ﷺ said, I'm not from those who can read. مَا أَنَا بِقَارِئ. And then he squeezed him. Happened 3 times. And at the 4th time, he said, اقرأ بِسْمِ رَبِّكَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ. And the first words and the first verses of the Quran were revealed. So some of the ulama from the Salaf, they liken this to the action of takhliyah. That when the angel Jibreel alayhi salam was squeezing the Prophet alayhi salam, he was emptying the Prophet alayhi salam. Right? Some of them say that he wasn't looking for an answer. So when Jibreel said Iqra and the Prophet said Ma ana biqari, he squeezed him. Let go of your ability. You don't know how to read, you don't know how to recite. Empty yourself. Then he said it again, and again. So 3 times. Right? The 3rd time he said, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. The Prophet ﷺ wasn't given the chance to respond, to say, Ma ana biqari. Right? Is that your phone?
No.
Let's leave it. It's not our phone. It'll turn off. No problem. Empty yourself with the ringtone.
That was a good example.
Yeah. See, distractions, outside distractions. So this action of the squeezing of our Prophet ﷺ until he couldn't bear it, this was likened to takhliyah, emptying. And then when the verses of the Quran were actually revealed, اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق الإنسان من علق إلى آخر الآيات, until the end of those ayat that were revealed, was the adorning of our Prophet ﷺ with the wahi, with revelation, with nur from Allah Azza wa Jal. Also, we can see this happening in the famous accounting or the famous hadith where the Prophet ﷺ was shaqqa sadruhu, his chest was opened by angels. In his childhood it happened, and it happened again in the Isra and the Mi'raj. It happened twice in his life. Right? And so that was, the heart was removed from the body, cleansed in water, the water of Zamzam, purified, and then placed back. Right? So it was a takhliyah and then a tahliyah. Right? An emptying and then a adorning. right? So before even the Prophet ﷺ, so this happened when he was younger, right? Halima Sa'adiyya radiallahu anha witnessed this, and she thought somebody had murdered the Prophet ﷺ, and she ran into the, it's a famous hadith, it's in Bukhari, she ran to the Prophet's home and she said something's happened, right? So she witnessed this happening, right? Imagine that mashhad, imagine that thing that you see, subhanAllah. And then when the Prophet ﷺ was given the night journey and the ascension, the Isra and the Mi'raj, right? So the Isra to Bayt al-Maqdis, and then the Mi'raj from there up into the heavens, into closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal. When that happened, he was cleansed again, as if to prepare for him to what he's about to see and witness, right? وَمَا كَذَبَ الْفُؤَادُ مَا رَأَى, right? فَالْفُؤَادُ لَابُدَّ أَن تُطَهَّرْ قَبْلَ أَن تَرَى. So the heart, Allah says, وَمَا كَذَبَ الْفُؤَادُ مَا رَأَى. So the heart did not lie about what it saw. The heart. So the heart was cleansed before it could be able to see these things. What did the Prophet see? What did the Prophet see, from the things he saw? The heavens and the first heaven and the second heaven and the third and the fourth and the fifth. He saw his ancestors, right? He met his brothers from the prophets. He met his father Ibrahim alayhi salam. He saw his father Adam alayhi salam. He saw souls of the children on the left and the right. He saw heaven, he saw hell, he saw punishments and rewards in those two places, and then so many things. Sidratul Muntaha, right? The tree of the farthest Muntaha, the farthest place any creation could go in proximity to Allah Azza wa Jal. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he went past that place, right? So how can the heart bear this? How can it bear that? To be in proximity to Allah Azza wa Jal, that nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal, that even Jibreel couldn't go ahead, right? It's because Allah Azza wa Jal He purified the heart. It wasn't because the Prophet ﷺ was a superman or that he was something other than human being. Allah Azza wa Jal purified the heart of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is takhliya and tahliya, to empty yourself of everything other than Allah. It's a painful process. It's not always going to be easy, right? It's not always going to be easy. It's going to be hard. It's going to be, especially as human beings living in the 21st century that we are, we've created so many of these attachments to people and to things and to places and to sounds and to smells and tastes. All of these things that we've over 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? All of these attachments, most of the time, unfortunately, not for the right reasons, not purely for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, because we don't learn of those things until we're of age, like they say, right? But when we're younger, we're so quick to attach ourselves, right? And that thing in a child is a beautiful thing, that they attach themselves to quick, like animals do it even. It's embedded in the very nature of nature itself and the nature of the human being. That a man or a woman, a young boy or a young girl can become attached to something that's not even they're biologically attached to. But when you're young, the first person you see, so whether that's your mother, your biological mother, or your biological father, or adoptive parents, you become attached, isn't it? You become attached to that person, right? That's a beautiful thing, and Allah created that thing in human beings for a purpose. If you make tarbiyah of a child correctly, that ability to latch on to the first thing that they know, imagine if they were that attached to Allah Azza wa Jal. If the first thing they know is Allah, the first thing that the parent teaches them is Allah and the love for Allah, that's a strong bond from the very root and foundation of a human being, right? So, because the child is empty, it doesn't need takhliyah. The child is born aslan empty. It's empty, has nothing. Right? It's hadithu ahad. It's newly in this world from the primordial life. It was just a soul. It was not mukallaf in that world. And then it comes here and is born, and it's still not mukallaf from the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's not mukallaf, it's not given any divine responsibility to know right from wrong, to know anything, to pray or to fast. Right? It's pure and it's innocent. It's us that ruin it. It's the human being that ruins it. Right? كل مولود يولد على الفطرة فأبواه يهودانه أو ينصرانه أو يمجسانه بارك الله فيك. نعم. So it's every child is born upon the fitrah, and it's the father and the mother. أبواه, the two fathers, meaning the mother and the father. It's the two parents that make it a Jew or a Christian or a Zoroastrian. But it's the child is born upon the fitrah. The fitrah is the Islam. That's the state of istislam for Allah Azza wa Jal. It's in pure submission to Allah. So this action that we're trying to do now as conscious beings and adults is trying to return to that part of our life. To have consciously make takhliyah of the things that we know shouldn't be inside of us, and tahliyah of the things that we know should be. Okay? So Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq, he goes on to say, it's okay, takhliyah. The Masris, what do they say when they want you to forget about something? They say, خلي بالك عن نفسك. Right? Any awam here? خلي بالك عن نفسك. أليس كذلك? They say that, right? You are in Nasr. Huh? Ya Hakim. خلي بالك عن نفسك. خلي بالك. And what they're saying is actually a very deep statement. خلي بالك عن نفسك. Empty your mind of yourself. When they want to tell you in Arabic, you say intabi, be careful. In Masr, they don't say be careful, they say خلي بالك عن نفسك. خلي بالك عن نفسك. Be careful, watch out. Yeah. They say خلي, right? But if you go to a proper old Muslim man, he'll say that to you. يا رجل يا رجل خلي بالك عن نفسك. Oh man, empty yourself, empty your mind of yourself. And what a correct statement to say, right? Empty your mind of yourself, of your ego, that the universe revolves around you, because it doesn't. It surely doesn't.
Right? Whispering all the shaitan of your
Yeah, the shaitan his job is to make you like him, right? Because Allah Azza wa Jalla, when He first talks about the shaitan, He makes this wasf of him. What does He say? فَأَبَى وَاسْتَكْبَرَ وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ. He refused, he was prideful and arrogant, وَكَانَ مِنَ الْكَافِرِينَ, he was from the disbelievers. So his refusal and then his arrogance upon his refusal caused him to do what? Become a kafir. Right? But thus, from the essence of his kufr is istikbar, arrogance. āmīn خلقتني من نار وخلقته من طين. أنا خير منه, I'm better than him. You created me from fire and you created him from dirt. Making yourself bigger. You know, Shaykh Abdullah when he talks about, my Shaykh Abdullah Bukhari, حفظه, when he talks about students thinking they're bigger than what they are, he says, يشبع, he goes, شبعان بما ليس فيه. Right? He's full of something that he's aslan, there's nothing that he's empty of. You're full of something that you're empty of aslan. You have nothing to be proud of. Right? يشبع نفسه بما ليس فيه, he says. He fills himself up with what he's what he's empty of in the first place, which is knowledge. Right? This is from the ulama, the Salaf. Sometimes they wrote books like Khuturatun al-Ilm, the dangers of knowledge. It's not because the knowledge is dangerous, it's because of what it can do to a person if you don't take the knowledge from the correct place. Because the asl of water is that it's tahir, right? Water, you can drink it. It's tahir. That's the principal essence of water, is that it's pure. You can drink it from anywhere. But if you drink water from a pool that's, it's stale water, stagnant water, right? It's collect all gangrene. يطلق عليه اسم الماء. You still call it water. But if you drink from it, you're probably going to have some vicious form of diarrhea and throwing up. Akramakumullah. You can't make wudu from it either. It's not purifying, right? If it's because now the color is changed, the smell is changed, the taste is changed. 3 conditions of water, right? The water is pure as long as the taste doesn't change of the water, the color of the water doesn't change, and the smell of the water doesn't change, right? And so the ulama are like that. The alim, Rabbani, the alim who's taken his knowledge all the way back to the Prophet ﷺ with the sanad, with the chain of narration. The pureness of that alim is like the pureness of the water. Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq, حفظه, he goes on to say, إن حقيقة التزكية, indeed the reality of self-purification is تخلية النفس أولا, is emptying the self firstly, بتطهيرها عن الرذائل والمعاصي والذنوب, by purifying it from the ugly, lowly things, sins and transgressions. ثم تحليتها بعد ذلك بفعل الطاعات والقربات, and then adorning it, meaning the soul, the self, the heart, after you've purified it, by actions of obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal, and actions that are that draw you nearer to Allah Azza wa Jal. كما قال الله تعالى, like Allah Azza wa Jal says in the Quran, خذ من أموالهم صدقة تطهرهم وتزكيهم بها وصلي عليهم. As is Surah At-Tawbah, verse number 103. And take from their wealth sadaqah, a charity, alms, right? تطهرهم وتزكيهم بها, that you purify them, cleanse them and purify them by it, meaning this sadaqah, this charity. وصلي عليهم, and make dua for them and pray for them. فقوله, so he goes on to say, Shaykh, he says, فقوله تعالى تطهرهم, and cleanse them, فيه إشارة إلى مقام التخلية عن السيئات بتطهيرهم من الذنوب. Here is an ishara, it's a sign or a alluding to of the ayah, إلى مقام التخلية, to the place of takhliya, of emptying, عن السيئات, from sins, بتطهيرهم من الذنوب, by purifying them from their sins. وقوله تعالى وتزكيهم, and he purifies them. فيه إشارة, in it is an alluding إلى مقام التحلية بفضائل والحسنات, to the maqam or the place of tahliya, to adorn yourself with what? Fada'il, virtues, and hasanat, good deeds. وتقديم التطهير على التزكية, and to put forth or to make purification, right? Cleansing, emptying, a requisite, a prerequisite to tazkiyah, to purification. You have to empty, cleanse yourself. That is a requisite before, or a prerequisite before you can what? Adorn yourself, tazkiyah, purify yourself. من باب تقديم التخلية على التحلية. So he says, purification before, cleansing before purification, tathir, cleansing before tazkiyah, is the same thing as what? Takhliya, emptying before tahliyah, adorning. Is that clear? Is that clear? How is that not clear? What's not clear? So the whole thing? Allahu Akbar.
Not the whole thing, but
yeah. So okay, so basically what he's saying, Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq, he's saying that in this ayah is an ishara. What did we say ishara means? Indication and alluding to, right? Pointing to a sign, right? there's an indication in this ayah that tathir, cleansing, emptying yourself, comes before tazkiyah. You can even purify. Okay? The same way, takhliyah, which is emptying yourself, comes before tahliyah, adorning yourself with anything. Okay? This will become more clear in a minute.
Okay, fine.
Inshallah. So he says here, فَلَا بُدَّ لِمَنْ أَرَادَ تَزْكِيَةَ نَفْسِهِ أن يقلع أولا عن الذنوب والآثام التي تفسد القلب. So فلا بد, so it is necessary for the one who wants to purify himself, okay, purify his soul and purify his heart, that he removes firstly, and he brings himself out of dhunub and ma'asi and its remnants, its effects. You remove yourself from sins, from transgressions, from evil, from whether that's speech, actions, thoughts. You remove yourself from that. التي تفسد القلب. These things that they corrupt the heart, right? وتحجب عنه نور الهداية والإيمان. And they cover the heart and they veil the heart from guidance and iman, from guidance and faith. So, do you understand now? So, you have to, before you can even pretend or begin to want to purify the self and to adorn yourself, for example, with good deeds and, for example, good manners, adab hasana, for example, good manners, you have to first rid yourself, right? For example, if I have a piece of paper, if you want to take this, I say, Hakeem, make your notes on this piece of paper, right? You're going to say, yeah, there's something written here. Either you have to erase it, right? Or you're cheating and you turn it around. There's empty paper on the back, right? But if I gave you a slab of wood and said, write on this slab of wood, and there's already something on it, the first thing you do is what? You would erase it and clean it. It's the same thing, same concept here. You need to write on your heart and adorn on your body actions certain things, certain mannerisms, certain beliefs, certain ways of operation. But you can't do that until you remove the ugly ways of operating and the sins and the things that are holding you back from aslan doing that. Right? The heart is full of nonsensical things, attachments and behaviors and tendencies. So before you try to fill that cup that's already full, you have to empty it. Okay? Naam, so that's what he means here. Do you understand?
No.
Okay. So this is a very, very important concept in Islam. Before you can make purification of the self, you have to empty the self and remove from the self things that are holding you back in the first place. Okay? So you can fix the car as much as you want, but if the handbrake is on, no matter how much you put the pedal to the metal, like they say, those cars, the tires will peel out, and eventually become bald. Then you need to replace the tires again. You can replace the tires 100 times, unless you put that handbrake down, right? You're damaging the car. If you drive the car without any gas or without any oil, it'll run a little bit, and then the engine will overheat and it'll explode, right? You need to make sure that everything is running properly. Your soul, your heart can't function if it's surrounded and drowned in sin, in shirk, in bid'ah. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. You have to empty yourself of all those things. That's why the Imam Muhammad ibn Ka'b al-Quradi, rahimahullah ta'ala, from the great Imams of the Salaf, he said, ما عبد الله بشيء أحب إليه من ترك المعاصي. Al-Imam Muhammad ibn Ka'b al-Quradi, rahimahullah, he said that Allah was not, or Allah is not worshipped with anything that is more beloved to Him than the leaving off of sin and transgression. The leaving off of sin and transgression. That's an ibadah of itself. Because ibadah as fi'l and its tark. It's action and its abandonment of certain actions. It's both. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal, He says about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, He says what? وَمَا أَتَاكُمْ وَالرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ فَخُذُوهُ, right? وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, right? And whatever the Prophet, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam orders you with, فَخُذُوهُ, then take it, action, doing it. وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا, that whatever He forbid you from, then leave those things. فَانْتَهُوا وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, and fear Allah Azza wa Jal. So even here Allah Azza wa Jal is showing you that ibadah of Him constitutes both doing things and abandoning things. Okay? So here Muhammad ibn Ka'b al-Quradi rahimahullah, from the great Imams of our Salaf, he said that nothing, Allah was not worshipped with anything more beloved to Him than the leaving off of sin and transgression. Right? Because that's an action. And the famous Imam Sahl ibn Abdullah rahimahullah ta'ala rahmatan wasi'ah, he said, أعمال يعملها البر والفاجر. Good deeds, actions, everyone does it. البر والفاجر, the pious and the openly sinful person. For example, anybody can come in and they can pray salah, for example. Whether they're smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, right? They still have to pray, even if you drink alcohol. This is a very famous misconception. If you smoke weed or you drink alcohol, like, oh brother, I can't pray for 40 days, 40 days. No, you have to pray. It's not a free ride. You don't just drink alcohol and then you don't have to pray. Then you get a vacation, then everybody's drinking and smoking weed. This is not how it works. Intoxication of the body, it's haram. You cannot pray while you're intoxicated. Yes, once you're free of the intoxication, it's not that you don't have to pray for 40 days. You're not allowed to pray. No. You're obligated to pray, but you're mahroom. You're forbidden from the rewards of that prayer. And if you don't pray the prayer, you're still sin. It's still a sin against you. But the punishment from Allah Azza wa Jal is that the reward, the benefit from that salah, you're forbidden from it, right? But the obligation still remains, and for you to fulfill the obligation still remains. على كل سهل ibn Sahl ibn Abdullah rahimahullah, he said that so the good actions, anybody can do it. When he said وَلَا يَتَجَنَّبُ الْمَعَاصِي إِلَّا صَدِّيقٌ, he said, but no person can avoid sin except a Siddiq, except a person who has truthful iman. Because the difference between two brothers standing in the saf beside each other, they're doing the same action, they're praying Taraweeh, they're praying Isha. One smokes and the other doesn't. The definitive factor between the both is what? One does an action that you're obligated to leave, and the other one has left that thing. You understand? See the difference? You and I, Muhammad and Ahmad both give sadaqah. Right? They both come for Taraweeh. They're both fasting the month of Ramadan. But when they're at the same time, Muhammad, he fasts, he gives sadaqah, he prays Taraweeh, he doesn't, and what does he do? He doesn't listen to music, he doesn't watch movies, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't lie, he doesn't steal. But his friend, unfortunately, who's giving sadaqah with him, praying Taraweeh with him, and fasting with him, goes home, spends his whole night listening to music, then his whole night what? Watching movies, and lying about people, and this. So this is a great latif, and it's a fa'idah latifa, it's a beautiful benefit, and a subtle one, that people can do actions of good deeds. It's a good thing. and it takes strength of iman, wala shak. But the definitive factor between the mu'minun, between the believers, is the one who stays away from what is forbidden and the one who doesn't. لا يتجنب المعاصي إلا صديق. Right? That no one leaves off sin except that he's truthful in his iman.
So what about the one who has been taken over by that sin? He's trying his best, but
that's something else. Inshallah. That's like Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, I think he was, who was asked once. He said, ما بالك عن رجل يعصي الله ثم يتوب ثم يعود ثم يتوب ثم يعود إلى آخر حياته. What do you think, O Hassan al-Basri, about a man who sins and then he repents to Allah, but then he goes back to the sin and then he repents to Allah, he goes back to the sin and then he repents to Allah up until he dies? And you know what Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah ta'ala he said, ما هذا إلا مؤمن. He said, this is not the state except of a believer, that he sins but then he makes tawbah to Allah Azza wa Jal, and he tries his best but eventually he will sin, but then he returns back to Allah Azza wa Jal, right? This is how Allah created us, right? كل بني آدم خطاء وخير الخطائين التوابون. And all of the children of Adam are sinners, and the best of the sinners are tawabun, are those who repent to Allah Azza wa Jal. Now, so Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq he goes on to say, so you have to empty yourself and protect yourself and cleanse yourself of these sins that veil a human being, that veil the heart of a human being from the light of guidance and iman. He says, كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, as the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, إن العبد إذا أخطأ خطيئة نكتت في قلبه نكتة سوداء. When a slave he sins or he makes a mistake or he sins, a black dot is placed in his heart. فإذا هو نزع واستغفر وتاب سقل قلبه. Right? And if that person removes himself from that sin and he seeks Allah's forgiveness and he turns back to Allah in tawbah, سقل قلبه, meaning his heart is then cleansed, right, or protected. وإن عاد, and if he goes back to that sin, زيد فيها, then that black dot is increased. Another one is put, and another one is put. حتى تعلو قلبه, up until it enraptures and covers his heart. وهو الران الذي ذكر الله, and this is the ran, the blackness, الذي ذكره الله, the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned. كلا بل ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون. Right? Where Allah says in the Quran, كلا, nay, rather, ران على قلوبهم, the hearts have become black, completely covered in this blackness. ران على قلوبهم ما كانوا يكسبون, because of what their hearts or themselves used to earn, right, from sin, right? And the hadith here is in Tirmidhi.
let's see if he doesn't repent.
Yeah, it becomes black, right? The hadith is in the Sunan of Imam al-Jami' of Imam al-Tirmidhi, and it was graded Sahih by Imam al-Albani rahimahullah. So he goes on to say, Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq, ثم يجاهد نفسه على الاستكثار من الصالحات التي تزكو بها نفسه. And then the human being, the Muslim, he strives and struggles against himself in increasing from good deeds. So he can increase in good deeds which purify himself, or purify his soul or his heart. كما قال تعالى, like Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا, and those who strive and struggle for our cause, for our sake, yani for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jalla, لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا, indeed, verily, we will guide him beyond a shadow of a doubt to our paths, meaning that lead to him Azza wa Jal. وَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَمَعَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and indeed Allah is with those who are al-muhsineen. those who are strive for perfection in their action. Right? They're the muhsineen. قال ابن تيمية, he says, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he said, فالتزكية وإن كان أصلها النماء والبركة والزيادة الخير فإنما تحصل بإزالة الشر فلهذا صار التزكي يجمع هذا وهذا. He said, so therefore Tazkiyah, even if in its essence Tazkiyah means purity, blessing, and an increase in good, فإنما, indeed, verily, it's nothing else. There's no way for you to gain it. فإنما تحصل, it is not attained by any other means. بإزالة الشر, it's attained by removement of evil from the self. فلهذا صار التزكي, and for this reason, purification of the self, يجمع هذا وهذا, it joins between this and that, meaning emptying of the self and then adorning of the self. You can't do one and then not the other. You can't do the other without doing the first. You have to do both. Have to happen constantly with the movement. And Imam Shaykh Shuyukhina Abdur-Rahman Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah, he said in his tafsir, Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq mentions, عند قوله تعالى, عند قول الله تعالى, بل الله يزكي من يشاء. And we talked about this ayah. Rather, it is Allah who purifies whomever He wills. Imam Sa'di, he mentions in the tafsir of this ayah, أي, meaning بالإيمان والعمل الصالح, that Allah purifies whoever He wills with iman and righteous actions. بالتخلي عن الأخلاق الرذيلة, by removing and emptying that person from ugly and lowly mannerisms and character. والتحلي بالصفات الجميلة, and then adorning that person with beautiful attributes and characters. And he mentions this in his great tafsir, Taysir al-Karim al-Rahman. Right? It's a tafsir of Imam Sa'di rahimahullah. And so now we have here the concept or the principle in Islam of at-takhliya and at-tahliya. Okay?
Tahliya comes first.
And then tahliya comes second. In that process, right? In the process of self-purification, what we discussed before this, we discussed Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal,
and
Dua to Allah Azza wa Jal,
Quran,
recitation and implementation and acting according to the Quran, and then Kalam of Allah Azza wa Jal, and then taking our beloved Salawatullahi wa Salamu alayhi as an example and as a foundational blueprint to what it is to be a perfect human being, and to avoid what? Shirk, kufr, bid'ah, right? And all of these, all of it. So the Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, the opposite of it is what? Shirk and kufr. Dua is, and the opposite of it is to call upon other than Allah Azza wa Jal, to depend on other than Allah Azza wa Jal, or to abandon dua itself. Right? And then the third one was what? Recitation of the Quran. That, and the opposite of that is what? To depend on the kalam of other than Allah Azza wa Jal, from these self-proclaimed masters and saints. Right? Okay? So to act according to other than the kalam of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is the opposite. And also, of course, to abandon the recitation of the Quran. And then the fourth is the sunnah, to take the Prophet ﷺ as an example. The opposite of that is what? To become a person of bid'ah. The person who follows the Prophet ﷺ in all aspects of life, he's a Sunni. That person is a Salafi. That person is an Athari. That person is a Muslim. The person who doesn't do that, who claims simply to do that, and then he follows his Shaykh or his Imam or somebody else, or groups and parties and sects and divisions, this person is a person of what? Bid'ah, of innovation, tahazzub, partisanship, and so on and so forth. Right? So every one of the things have an opposite. Here we have al-qa'idatul khamisa, the 5th principle, which is purification is built on takhliya, emptying of the self, or tahliya, adornment of the self. Right? So this has an opposite too. This is takhliya without tahliya, or tahliya without takhliya. So either you're ridding yourself until you become empty and then there's nothing. Right? That could lead to even kufr. That could lead to very dangerous places. Right? You absolve yourself of all things. Right? Like la ilaha. You stop there, that can become kufr. Right?
Atheist, like
You can become like an atheist. Right? There's no absolutes anymore in the world. But then the second part of that has to come. The tahliya, the illallah has to come. Accept Allah Azza wa Jal. You have to embody yourself with what? All the things we just talked about. Good deeds, righteous actions, good manners, right? Nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal. And all of those things are based on the 4 principles we talked before this. It's a good place, right in the middle. Shaykh Abdur-Razzaq, he brings it right in the middle of his treatise. Right in the middle of his treatise, he brings takhliya and tahliya. Right? And it's not by mistake. He knows what he's doing. حفظه الله.
It was by purpose.
It was with purpose and full intent. هذا والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين وإياكم. فيكم بارك الله. Any questions? Now you understand it, yeah?
No.
I don't like the sound of my own voice.